Hello everybody, my name is Lex and welcome back to Proctor channel. In this new video we have Ghost of Tsushima game review. So this game came out a couple of days ago and this game was developed by Sucker Punch Productions and was published by Sony Interactive Entertainment, and obviously this is a PlayStation 4 exclusive. Maybe the last PlayStation 4 exclusive, but let's jump right into it. Ghost of Tsushima is a fictional tale told with the fictional characters, but it's based on the very real invasion of Japan by the Mongol Empire in 1274 that began on the island of Tsushima. You take control of Jin Sakai, who starts off as a samurai before a disastrous battle against the invaders quickly teaches him that perhaps the honorable but restrictive ways of the samurai code might not be enough to deal with this new and existential threat. Ghost of Tsushima revolves around this inner conflict as Jin's formative teaching push up against his need to save his homeland at any cost. And though it takes a little while to really get going, it's a compelling struggle. Even if Jin himself isn't the most charismatic or protagonist, his foil, Khotun Khan, has charisma in spades. He's one of the most memorable game villains of recent memory thanks to his soft intensity that is oddly calming despite his terrifying intentions. He's extremely cunning, always one step ahead, and his presence as the big bad is a large part of why Jin's 40 to 50 hour quest for vengeance works so well. Ghost of Tsushima's combat is like a witch's brew made with bits of Batman Arkham series, the pre-origin Assassin's Creed and Sekiro Shadow Dies Twice, and the entire library of Kurosawa films. Like all great combat systems, it's simple to understand on a surface level, that there are light attacks to quickly deal damage and beat out slower strikes, heavy attacks that deal more damage and can break through enemy guards, a block button to guard against certain attacks, and a dodge button to avoid the attacks that can't be guarded. That probably all sounds familiar, but the glue that holds this combat system together and allows it to remain interesting the whole way through is the additional of these stances you can shift between at the push of a button. As Jin completes certain tasks, he'll unlock new sword stances that each comes with their own unique movesets, and more importantly, their own strength versus a particular type of weapon. The starting stone stance is ideal for dealing with swordsmen, as one charged up stab attack can strike through their guard and either kill them outright or deal massive damage. Later on, you learn the water stance, which uses slower but more powerful strikes that can break through the defenses of shield-wielding enemies. So there are 4 stances total, and once you have access to them all, combat will challenge you to not only identify the greatest threat at any given moment, but also to swap to the stance that is best suited to deal with them, all while balancing the very real need to play defensively. When it's at its best, combat in Ghost of Tsushima is fast, chaotic, tactical, and is true to the fantasy of being a lone hyper-skilled but outnumbered samurai. The little touches go a long way toward combat's exquisite feel, in addition to bringing a bit of visual spectacle. The on-screen HUD is minimalist and the camera always stays really tight so you can get an up-close view of the action. Enemies have a clear audio so that even if you can't see them, you know where to dodge or block. Fatal attacks often end with Jin spinning around to face the camera while your enemy stumbles around with blood spurting out before finally killing over. Even smaller still, defeated enemies will sometimes crawl helplessly on the ground, desperately trying to escape you, and you can wipe the blood off your sword, you can bow to pay respect to your opponent, and the list goes on and on. Impressively, Ghost of Tsushima's difficulty always managed to be appropriated no matter what point of the campaign are. Enemies do get tougher, and you do need to improve your gear by upgrading your sword, armor, and charms to meet the difficulty curve. But the story improvements from gear always felt secondary to the skills that you'd acquired. But the challenge always felt fair. And on top of all of this, there are also the various tools and gadgets that you earn over the course of your adventure. As Jin gets more and more comfortable with bending his samurai code and using tools outside of his normal repertoire, his combat abilities also expand dramatically. For example, he can throw sticky bombs to disorient a large crowd, or he can take out his trusty bow and land a headshot to bring down a heavily armored foe in one hit that potentially ends the fight before it even begins. The problem with the gameplay starts when you get spotted. Enemies just don't know how to handle it. What if you climb onto a rooftop? They don't follow you, they don't hunt you, they just kind of yell and throw shurikens. What if you suddenly break lines of sight and crouch into a nearby flower patch that they can still clearly see? They just turn around, look elsewhere for a bit, and then they blow their little alarm horns. It's as if you do anything other than just fight once you break stealth, the AI just throws up its hands and shrugs. Fortunately, Ghost of Tsushima offers a way to make going loud right out of the gate just as advantageous as picking off a handful of enemies unnoticed. And it does so in the best possible way, by staying true to its samurai cinema roots. At the beginning of the most combat encounters, you can trigger a standoff, which allows you to target one of your enemies in classic showdown, where you must wait for them to make a move to attack, and then strike with one of your own to take them down in one hit. If you nail the timing, that's one fever for you to deal with when the brawl begins. But that's only the beginning. You can make these standoffs a major part of your combat strategy by putting points into the standoff technique and wearing armor that allows you to chain multiple standoff strikes together. Open world games can often feature some of the most beautiful visual landscapes they are, and Ghost of Tsushima is right up there with the best of them. It may not quite meet the promise of its 2018 gameplay reveal trailer, but this is still a stunningly gorgeous game. Every scene is packed with grass, trees, leaves, and flowers, all gently blowing in the wind every which way you turn. The island of Tsushima is teeming with natural beauty, which makes it a joy to explore even if you don't have a particular destination in mind. Sucker Punch's design encourages exactly that, with traditional waypoints being combined into the environment instead of a UI overlay. For example, following a plume of smoke will always lead you to something worth investigating, or a tree with different colored leaves off in the distance will always yield some sort of reward, and following a trail of torii gates will never disappoint. It's all refreshingly organic, much like how it was in The Legend of Zelda Breath of the Wild, especially considering that even when you do want to set a waypoint from your map to head toward a specific quest or location, instead of following arrows on the screen, you'll follow the direction of the wind. Side quests are interesting in Ghost of Tsushima because they are actually several different types. The first and most common are your typical garden variety tasks called Tales of Tsushima, which are short stories that have Jin going off and being the good and honorable samurai that he wants to be by helping people with their problems. Tales of Tsushima typically rewards you with charms that boosts a certain aspect of your character, allowing you to spec into specific character builds like stealth, tanky, or focus on critical hits and so on. And finally, there are Mythic Tales. These are epic side quests that have you hunting down legendary techniques or pieces of gear, and they are obtained by listening to a musician tells a legend of whatever it is you're seeking to earn, shown through some extremely cool animated Japanese cutscene. A great thing about exploration though, and something that you will especially appreciate as someone who's not typically big on collectibles, is that every major collectible has both a worthwhile reward and a fun mini challenge tied to it. It's fun to find new bamboo strikes because they will give you more resolve. Shrines are even better because in addition to being the only place where you can find major charms, which offer dramatic buffs and perks strong enough to potentially design a whole character build around, they're also the only areas that you'll be able to find those signature Sucker Punch platforming sections familiar from the infamous or Sly sector. And in the end, we have to say that Ghost of Tsushima is an enormous and densely packed samurai adventure that often leaves the players completely awestruck with both its visual spectacle and excellent combat. By steadily introducing new abilities instead of star upgrades, its swordplay manages to stay challenging, rewarding, and fun throughout the entire 40 to 50 hours that it will take players to beat the campaign. A few aspects are surprisingly lacking in polish in comparison to other first-party Sony games, especially when it comes to enemy AI and the stealth part of its stealth action split, but still, this is an extraordinary open-world action-adventure game that solves several issues that have long gone unaddressed in the genre. Thank you so much for watching today's video. If you're new to this channel, please consider subscribing and turn on the notification bell. And if you enjoyed the video, please smash the like button and tell me your thoughts on comments. I see you next time in the next video. Peace.